Hello, my name is Jim, and this is your Daily Brogue for the 29th of August, 2021. Hello, my jelly fighters. I don't know how I managed to do it, but I did get myself into more trouble. First, I called taxonomy, not biology, but taxonomy. That's a lot of biology. It's scary how much of biology is that sort of crap. Sort of proto-science. And by proto-science, I just mean that it's the sort of stuff you do when you're getting started, when you're trying to put a system together that you can actually work on to try to get answers out of the real world. So I thought that was bad enough. Well, from there it turned out I got to the point where I called basically all of social science. Called all of social science, basically. Pseudoscience. It's not too far from the truth. That's what, it's what I believe. So it's, like I said before, I read their fucking papers, so nobody should be convinced by anything that's in the sociology literature, right? I mean, it's just trash. And then finally, I do a really great job by calling sociologists subhuman. Well, I didn't say subhuman, they're not. I said they're not human. But I guess I don't see why I'd split hairs. That's mostly because they don't have any ethics. Right? So, like I said, I'm surprised. I mean, I've thought about it a couple of times, but I haven't talked about that Jonathan Marks book for a long time. But I'm just as angry when I think about it now, when I talk about it now, as I was before. I mean, the whole idea that you'd subjugate science to somebody else's view of the way the world should be is antithetical to science, right? It's religion, right? And so that's what Jonathan Marks's book basically tells me that sociology is, right? It's religion. There's no scientific content at all. And that's not a problem, right? People are allowed their religions, but it's a little bit different from real religion. So real religion, because of its historical place, because of the good it does. I mean, it's the basis of all this stupid morality stuff that we have to keep track of, right? Where did the goblin conjurer go? Way over there. Okay. So sociology has the same scientific content as a religion. But it doesn't have the moral content of the religion, but it wants to make the same moral pronouncements that a religion can. And in fact, I don't believe religion should make those pronouncements about science, right? People disagree, but my general feeling is that religion should keep their heads out of science, and wouldn't say out of the public sphere entirely, but they should come to the public sphere a little more humble, a little humbler than they have traditionally, right? So traditionally, they've had a very strong effect or a strong position in public discourse. Good. Like I said, that Jonathan Marks quote was not something that I found bad, or found to be unique, right? Let's say that. And I feel it's that same sort of arrogance that Marx had. That led this woman to believe that she should be able to discount someone else's opinion because it differed from hers. Right? That's the long of the short of it. That's the long and the short of it, right? Is that this woman who had a problem with this other guy's opinions basically had a problem with other people having an opinion other than her own, right? Because she's so smart and you're so stupid. And she took herself to have the authority of science, right? Which of course she does not, because she's a sociologist, as I just discussed. And I also discussed that, you know, the actual authority of science is kind of limited, right? You can't somehow pretend that because you are a scientist, you have the right to wander around and, you know, change the language, right? That's not really your job. And it's much worse when you think that as a scientist you have a right to tell other people that they can't hold certain positions or something like that, because you think you're a genius. And as we discussed, oops, oh good. Okay, well, these are all rings, so I don't get a choice. What do I currently got? This front is actually in a bad one because I don't have, oh crap. Let's try some of these. J. Mapping. M. Remove curse. O. Teleportation. R. Recharging. N. Protect weapon. Damn, I haven't found a good weapon, so I can complain about it all I want. But isn't that the worst place for that? I haven't found identify either. So I'm in this place where I don't really want to enchant anything. I hope these are bad. Identify. Creating death. That is not what I want to throw. Don't want to throw potions. Scrolls are okay. I'm not sure. Where has he decided to go? Who's he hiding from? Oh, did they fall into a lake? Was I lucky that way? Wisdom. Depth 7, I haven't used any of those enchantings. Okay, I'm going to equip that flail. It is cursed. Okay, so this banded mail is at least as good as the other one. We will now use a remove curse and drop that flail and equip our protected dagger. So I've forgotten that dagger is protected. That's marginally comforting. And there are eels, multiple eels. Wonderful. Nope, didn't make it. Oh well. Don't know how they knew where I was, even though I was invisible. I should have used a telepathy. There might just be a whole lot of them in that thing. It's on depth 7. Oh well. I think I've shown pretty reasonably. Maybe not reasonably, but in general, you shouldn't be listening to people who aren't willing to listen to you, right? And if someone's decided that, more or less, because they think they're smart, they don't have to listen to you, then there's a problem. Again, reading some of their books, I mean, you'd have to be a little off not to realize that there's something majorly wrong with academic sociology. I guess it's all academic. Same thing with anthropology. They're just not sciences, right? They don't teach their students, they don't teach each other how to think well. And that's a major problem, especially when they try to shut people up, right? They should not be part of the debate, period. And it's not necessarily me, I don't care, right? As long as, I do care because you're trying to make laws that affect me, but, out of, you're making laws that don't affect me. The only that affect me, at which point I expect you to have at least the authority of a religion, and they don't, right? Psychology, sociology, anthropology, American studies, black studies, African American studies, whatever they call it. They don't have any authority. They don't have any authority. They don't have any truthiness. There's no verisimilitude to their models. They don't really even have models. They have things they call models, which are kind of models. It's just sort of the same way that they call coding, sorting things into bins, and it's not really coding. So you really want to avoid some of those things, but they just don't have the authority. And now the idea isn't that you shouldn't listen to them. It's that they don't have the authority to tell you not to listen to someone else. All right. And that's exactly what they do. Right. Like I said, with the Marx thing, again, he said, you shouldn't listen to somebody who's actually doing real science because I don't like his conclusions. That is sociology. That is anthropology. If they don't like your conclusions based on their view of, there's a little pseudo-moral view of the world, then they don't think you should listen to a scientist. And that's sort of the end of science right there. So, these guys have this idea, and it's a good idea that human beings should be studied scientifically, but they just don't have the chops.